So we posed the question off the top, is Miami an elite program? And if not, which I say that it's not, but I can understand it being called by Miami fans and college football fans in general an elite program based on the relevance, based on the fan base across the country, based on the attention and based on the past success. So I don't think that's a completely ridiculous argument to make, but I don't consider the program to be elite in 2020. So the question was, what will it take for it to be an elite program again? And just to back up where the program stands right now and what's been the recent history is that we posted a video here in the last 6 weeks that outlined that Miami's only won 57% of its games since 2004. So in the last 15 seasons, the program's only won 57% of its games. And we ran down a list of mediocre programs, marginal decent programs that have won more games and have a better record than Miami during that time frame, which included Kansas State, Georgia Tech, a lot of programs like that. Also, that there have been, and this is not going to sit well or hit you very well as a Miami fan, but since the last time Miami finished in the top 10 in the country in the final AP poll, there have been 43 teams, 43 different programs across the country. So that's in the Power 5. So there's only a couple outside the Power 5 that have finished in the top 10. Houston 1 year, Boise State several times, of course, Notre Dame not being in a Power 5 conference. So there's only a few. There's like 4 or 5, if that. I think that's pretty much it. Boise State, Houston, Notre Dame, outside of the Power 5 conferences that have finished in the top 10 in the last 15 years. But there have been 43 different programs finish in the final top 10 in the last 15 years. So that's 8 per conference, 8 teams per conference. And Miami is not one of those teams. They have not finished in the top 10 in the last 15 years, while 43 other programs have. Kansas has finished in the top 10 in the last 15 years. Georgia Tech has finished in the top 10 in the last 15 years. If you want to take it back to, well, this wouldn't really be fair because it would overlap when Miami was dominant through 2003. 2004, they were still good, even into 2005. But basically, 2004, I believe, was the last really good season. Mr. HD mentions Bubba Baxa. Make a field goal when it matters. That would have made a big difference last year. Miami wasn't going to win a championship, but they would have won a couple more games with competent field goal kicking. They would have most likely beat North Carolina. They would have had an opportunity to beat Florida. At least those 2 games. So 6-6 becomes 8-4, and it's not a great season, but it's a much more respectable season. Then you're playing in a bowl game that's a better bowl game against a decent team, and you've got an opportunity to go 9-4 and finish in the top 25.
2 cupcake games, or not really? The first 2. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, my thought is that Miami should beat Temple by 3 touchdowns. That's the gap on the 2 rosters, but I expect it to be a much closer game than that because Temple is well coached and it's a good program. It's a good team. I've not looked deeply into their personnel this year. So you can look at this 2 different ways, that Miami was capable of losing to FIU, Duke, and Georgia Tech last year. They lost to 3 bad football teams. Temple usually plays Power 5 teams really tough, but at the same time, they faced North Carolina, who's very comparable to Miami. They faced North Carolina in their bowl game last year, and North Carolina beat them by 6 touchdowns.
I mean, that's not bad, actually. I really like close games like that, like you said.
They beat them by 6 touchdowns, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
42 points.
I meant like 42 points. Huge.
So if you want to score from me right now, Miami's going to win this game 34-20.
Yeah. For Temple, Miami versus Temple. I think Miami will win by maybe this year. Probably by 4 points.
Okay.
Maybe 20-24. I don't know, but that's my prediction for that game. And then UAB, right? Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Nate. One more time.
Is it at UAB the next week or at Miami?
Well, they play Wagner. Then they play UAB at home. So it's
Okay.
there are 4 non-conference games to start the season. Are Temple, Wagner, UAB, and then they go to Michigan State.
Okay. They should win Wagner against Wagner. Because is it the FCS team? Wagner is.
Yeah, that's really not worth talking about. If they can't beat Wagner, then
I know. Yeah, that's what I said. They should beat Wagner, or they need to. But the next game after that, UAB. I mean, UAB had a good year last year, 11-3. But I would say Miami wins this one 34-24. I think that's all I know right now. But if we're gonna do a call-in show on Sunday, if we're gonna do it, I might do some predictions for Miami. So I'll let your calls get in. Thank you for the time, Mark, and take care.
Thanks, Nate. We appreciate it. You have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Did everybody get that? Our next call-in show. So we're going to be here Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time to talk Clemson. So that's strictly a Clemson show, Clemson live stream at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday night. But we typically do a call-in show Sunday late, typically at 10 o'clock, depending on my schedule, but 10 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday night. But the next time we have a call-in show, Nate is going to give his predictions on every Miami football game this year. So if that's not going to bring you back to hear more on Miami football talk, that Nate's going to give his prediction, his score prediction on every Miami game. That should get you back here.